In a shocking revelation this afternoon, one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions has been released. We'll get into what details we know and and what it means for the other half of that tag team going forward. Also, Cody Rhodes is going to be in the news for some time now. Of course, he made his first appearance on the bump. We've got a couple of things in regards to Cody, his appearance there, and some interviews he's done in the past. Also, Tony Khan talks about going to his ruthless roots, going back to those ruthless roots for AEW Rampage. What does that mean? We'll talk about that. Plus, The Rock, he's got that XFL coming pretty soon. A new logo and a new vision is what The Rock has given us. We'll talk about that and much more on today's top story. Share that link or you stink.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Boom.
What's up, everyone? So normally I do the intros, but my voice, if you guys can tell, my voice is still hoarse from being at WrestleMania and talking all that much.
Still got WrestleMania voice.
I got the WrestleMania voice. So I let Jeremy do the intros because he's so tremendous at it. I'm like, dude, save my voice.
I had practice last week. I had practice last week while you guys were out of town. So,
guys, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for tuning in into the top story. We got a lot to cover today. We got that Nash Carter story that just broke a few hours ago. And we also got some news about Cody Rhodes. He was on WWE's The Bump today. We revealed a lot. He talked a lot. We're going to jump into that and much more, man. But as always, guys, make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing. We're well on our way to 28,000. I think we're like under 300 to hit that 28,000 subscriber mark. So thank you guys for all the support and love. Go ahead and share this video right now if you're watching live on Facebook in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section so they can join in on the conversation. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and smash that like button and smash that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new stuff. I see 124 viewers in here, so engage with the show, guys. Sound off in the comments and engage with the show. Go ahead and throw up the thumbs up, the heart emojis, the laugh emojis, the angry emojis. I want to get your thoughts on Nash Carter being released. So let's jump into that first story. That's the headline today. Nash Carter's one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions of MSK being released today after being featured on Stand and Deliver and being featured last night on NXT's 2.0. So Fightful learned about this a few hours ago. What's the story? What are the details?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's just talk about the situation itself. If anybody has ever been through any sort of relationship abuse within a relationship, you know that there are a lot of ups and downs. And while Kimberly may have made it sound like it was okay, apparently it wasn't. She came out with some more information over the past couple of days, kind of saying how she's been brainwashed and that there has been a lot of abuse, even putting out some interesting and not so good photos of Nash Carter doing some posing. But yes, Fightful Select has Sean Ross, not Fightful Select, but Sean Ross himself put out the tweet and literally about 5 minutes later got the confirm that Nash Carter has been released by the WWE. Of course, Carter with Wes Lee as MSK has are the tag team champions. We'll get into that in a little bit. But Carter, of course, accused of domestic violence, as you see, also posing as Hitler in a post that Kimberly had posted as well. As you see, let's see, I don't know if there's a tweet that's not shown here where she did mention about being brainwashed. And so that, she probably that's what happens in an abusive relationship. You get tricked into thinking things are all right. And that's why she kind of backtracked and did a 180 and then decided, hey, I need to really get ahead of this and get this out there. And so that's why these recent things have been posted. I assume immediately, as soon as at least the one on the left and the one on the right were released, I think WWE said, yeah, goodbye, good riddance, get out of here. So while it seemed like Nash was the good guy in the situation for some time now, with Kimberly backtracking. It turns out that it was all true from the get-go, with all the evidence she's shown and things that she's been hiding for the past year or so. So a sad situation there, for sure. And I've seen I've seen some abusive relationships firsthand, so I know all about what she's going through. And it's kind of sad to see people blaming her still after all this evidence has come out, which is
Yeah.
pretty fucking ridiculous in my opinion. But let's go to the business side of things. It's kind of unfortunate for Wesley. Wesley, a great talent in NXT. Hell, I got an idea right now for you, Jose. Once this story ends up, man, pair him with Draco Anthony. I think those two could work really well together.
Those two could work very well together. Now that he's kind of having this heel tendency now against Zion Quinn, I think that might be a really good matchup for him.
Which now may not fit if he's going to turn heel and join Joe Gacy. Which, again, interestingly enough, Joe Gacy revealing himself as the next main event, basically, for NXT, kidnapping Rick Steiner, which I thought was interesting. But I like the Gacy story. I like the Gacy character, so I've been a little more accepting of what he's been doing. And so I think it's kind of an interesting twist that they're doing. Some people thought it was kind of hokey, ridiculous. I kind of like the end of it. I like the cliffhanger. I like the Joe Gacy's in the main event too, because I think he's a hell of a talent.
Yeah, he's a good talent. But speaking of the situation with with Nash Carter and Kimberly, the whole situation is very, very sad. There's thousands, if not millions, of other women that suffer through domestic abuse. Now, we don't know if this is the situation. She's putting the information out there, so you guys are as free to make your own conclusions as you want.
Yeah.
But the evidence is pretty compelling, right? So there's thousands and millions of women that live with this problem, this epidemic of domestic abuse that really doesn't go being told, right? And they're forced to do things like this and put it out on social media because it's the only way that they'll be heard. It's sad because it's not something that you want to see someone that's on TV on a weekly basis have to go through, right? And in Nash Carter's point of view, right? He's on the ascension in his career, just becoming a two-time NXT tag team champion, getting himself noticed on WWE TV.
Yeah.
And now this happens. And now
I see the people trying to defend Nash in the chat. Got real quiet after you posted those screenshots.
Yes. But my thing is that now you have this young guy that was on the up and up, and now his career is practically derailed because of all this information that has surfaced. Yeah. And now, even let's just say there isn't any legal charges, there's still the court of public opinion. Yeah. And that is the harshest court to get over with. Let's get Kevin Kellum in the stream since he just joined us and to get his take on what's going on here with Nash Carter. What's up, Kevin?
What a situation here, that has developed so quickly, and also a situation, as you guys have already described, with a lot of conflicting reports about it. So what we know is he's out of WWE, and that sucks for him as a wrestler. But if he is indeed guilty of the things he's accused of doing, it's pretty severe. Then you have, I believe you guys have covered this already before the tech issues I had right before we went live. We have conflicting reports that oppose what Kimber is saying and oppose the severity of what Kimber is saying. And so it's all over the place. This is all Kimber's Lee Stern false accusations, allegations. Here's Steve. We don't know that. We simply just do not know that. To say that her accusations aren't accurate or are not describing real severity is not fair, and also not compassionate.
And on top of that, on top of that, you saw her tweets there, saying that she was brainwashed, so she was thinking things were okay, but at the same time, they weren't, and now she finally realized, I gotta say something, and then posted quite a bit of evidence. So more than enough for WWE. More than enough for WWE to say you're gone.
Objectively, she went for his head. She went for his career. You know, she tagged WWE in this stuff. So if
Yes,
anyone's saying that she
did.
didn't want to get him fired, oh, she's just doing this to no. She worked in WWE.
Mhm.
She worked there, you know, and does that mean he didn't deserve it? If he's guilty of it, he deserved it. Yeah, 100%. You know, you have to be objective about this stuff. So I mean, we're laying this all out. Kimber lays out that one tweet there on the rest. She tags, "Hey NXT, this is my face after your tag champ at Nash Carter got wasted and hit me hard. So split my lip. I'm trying to read this in the. He told me I'm a wrestler, so I'm always marked up. I hid this for a year, even forgave him, but I can't hide it anymore." Kimber then follows up with just another look into the type of person Nash Carter is. She tags WWE and WWE NXT. I've hit so much for so long. I've also been mentally abused, not to mention the countless anti-LGBTQIA statements him and his family make. And then this picture of him here on the right. Whether or not that's a serious photo, I don't know. I would certainly hope not. I know people have done stuff like that when they're like shaving, which is stupid to do. And that's not a defense of him at all. Wait, we have Cody here on the screen here for a second. We're still covering the story. Sorry, but no, this is obviously this is an awful look. If he's guilty of these things, goodbye. Goodbye is the simple thing. Then you have legal recourses and all these different things. Yeah. I think rushing to the conclusion that Kimber is making a false accusation simply because he isn't living with her anymore is inaccurate. Here's the thing about this too. Kimber's not in NXT anymore. She's not in WWE.
She's not in Impact anymore either.
Yeah. So this is somebody on the outside saying this. What does she have to gain?
And I was just explaining this, Eric. Yeah. She was. If you've never been personally involved with someone that's been through an abusive relationship, they get brainwashed and tricked into thinking things are okay. That's why she backtracked in the first place. But now she's posted all of this,
and that was about a week ago, right? This is
a little longer, but yeah,
little longer than a week ago. Then Stand and Deliver happens. Then after this happens,
because I think she started teasing or putting some stuff on social media in the lead up to Stand and Deliver. And I think I had read somewhere where he said, "I'm just going to wait until this is all over, and then I'm going to dump the information." And sure enough, I think not too long after Stand and Deliver was over, those tweets started coming out.
I hate covering stories like this.
Yeah, I do too. But no.
Here's why I hate it. It's not about wrestling. So it's not about us speculating about something. It's about us speculating about people's real lives. This is the most people are going to talk about NXT in some time, which is despicable because NXT is it's even with the changes. There's a lot of great, really talented wrestlers and producers and production people there that are doing some great stuff. And this is the stink that's going to be on it. And this isn't to dissuade you from listening to Kimber's story or listening to Nash's story. It's just, this isn't a positive story. This is not a positive story anyway. And there's some positives that can come out of it. And some people are going to argue that WWE reacted strongly. Well, figure out your legal matter here, Figure out your legal thing and come on back and let's see what we can do. That it's not to say the door is closed.
And even then, I don't think they will. I mean, look what happened with Enzo. Look, I mean, the guy got accused of rape and he got acquitted.
Yeah, but Enzo didn't tell WWE about it. And that's why Enzo got fired. He didn't get fired because he got accused of something. He got fired because he didn't talk to WWE about it. So now it has to be described as, did Nash disclose this information to WWE NXT or not? We simply don't know. There's a lot here we don't know. And there's a lot that some people want us to know and other things we don't want to know. A lot of psyops here. A lot of psychological operations going on back and forth here. So
let's go from a negative story to a positive story, because the talk over the weekend has been about one guy and one guy only.
It's Cody.
It's Cody. Cody was on the bump today, guys.
Yeah, he made
like the whole show, the entire show. Cody Rhodes.
He made quite the impact here this week with media, not just within the WWE platform. Obviously on WrestleMania, big debut with Seth Rollins. Then gets that very rare invite the media scrum, and that was pretty cool. And all these different things. And so then he does the sit-down interviews. Now he does this interview, which is much more of the diehard WWE fans going to check this out, where they're loyal to WWE. They're going to enjoy this. He mentions AEW in it. He mentions
He
a handful
does.
of things in it. He mentions things he wants to do. He certainly is embracing the WWE machine that is being behind him, almost to the point where he's joking that he did too much media this week. Listen, if you don't think WWE's trying to send a message here, they are sending it boldly, they are sending it loudly, and they are sending it in every different direction, not just Jacksonville, where AEW is based, but they're sending these to fans that are going to decry WWE and say it's the big bad corporate wrestling company, right? Well, if it is, they're gonna still make it feel big, and they're gonna make a big star feel even bigger there. That's what they're going for here. And you have him coming in there saying wrestler. You have him coming in there mentioning his father. You have him coming in there doing a lot of things that no one would expect him to be able to do, or that were conditioned as jaded fans to expect him to be able to do. And he's doing all of those things over and over again. He's just saying them. He hasn't even wrestled them yet. And the sense of wrestling under his father's name and doing all these different things that reference pro wrestling history and saying wrestler a lot, to the point where he's playing with it. He's playing with the idea of like, yeah, I'm a wrestler and I'm a superstar. Like that language is alarming. Because he mentioned that the culture of W is you say superstar. Here's this guy coming in who also, by the way, started the biggest competition against WWE in 20 years and now is with them. I don't care how you want to spin this. This is positive for WWE. It isn't the worst thing for AEW. They're going to be fine. So, I mean, and anyone who's trying to rewrite history and say that he wasn't a big part of AEW is foolish, because there's a lot of people that are somehow trying to do that now. They're somehow trying to say that he wasn't a big part of it. This is a big deal. This is another idea that WWE is going to send the right message to their fan base and say, no, we're going to try and make our big stars feel big, especially if they come here from another company.
Yeah, when he was on the bump, he talked about his promo on Monday night, and he said, I, as a professional, wanted to present it in the most digestible way. It was incredibly real, from the heart, not scripted. That's probably a good precedent to set for me when it comes to being here now and being on this team. That's how I'd like to present myself, in terms of, I know what I'm doing with a microphone. I don't need to be told, which, makes you wonder if Vince is going to be a little more lenient on some of those established guys now, to let them be able to cut their own promos, because that's been a big knock on.
Also, this is a guy who's coming into WWE doing it.
Yeah, and he's being allowed to do it, which is,
he's certainly familiar with WWE system. He was raised in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's coming in there from another company, your main competitor, cutting promos that way, I mean, he'll still be able to hit his time cues. There was one thing he did in AEW that I always liked that other people weren't. He knew how to frame things to the camera. There are a lot of guys and stuff that would do stuff, and they simply wouldn't frame it towards the hard cam, which is something a lot of people have to learn and develop it.
Mm.
And he always knew how to find.
That's what NXT. That's what a big part of NXT is to get you ready for that.
To get you ready for that, and to understand how to frame to it, because there's just a lot of guys who don't wrestle that way. They just don't wrestle for it. Impact, to a degree, you do it, but they do it dead on from the entrance, so it's a little bit different. I know people think that, these things are just technological. No, it's so fundamental, and being in the
important. Absolutely.
For put this in perspective, working at AEW, the promotion I'm with, we have guys that'll get in the ring, and if there's something specific they're going to do in a match, the run-throughs are like that. The run-throughs are like, it is framed and set a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that's at an independent level. So you have a lot of guys who don't wrestle that way. Or you wrestle in New Japan, they don't ask you to frame at all, because they just shoot from 9 different angles. Mm-hmm. WWE shoots a lot of different angles, but the hard cam is the most important one for that. And he knew how to find that camera. He knew how to dissuade from it. He knew how to come back to it. There's a lot of things that he has in his skill set that are very WWE ready, because he was honed in that system already. And then on top of it, he's probably even a better wrestler than he left WWE, because all the things he learned away from it. And
he mentioned also in an interview with The Ringer that the last guy he talked to and saw before coming out on that stage was Triple H. And so, that WWE 24 that is eventually going to come on Cody Rhodes' return.
So good.
Man,
that's going to make you cry.
Yeah, man. Just watching Gorilla before he comes out and stuff like that's going to be so interesting to watch.
He's extremely candid in this bump interview too. I know a lot of people maybe haven't seen the media scrums and everything. He's very, very candid about this. And I know a lot of it seems like spin. I have a lot of friends who are enjoy AEW and are just crapping on this like crazy, saying, he's just an egotistical guy. I was like, bullshit. All wrestlers are. All of them are. There's no way you don't compete at that level, at that game, and say the things you do. He point blank said, I would never take back the throne, ever. The throne's in my bar. People take pictures on it. He would do the same thing. Triple H would do the same. Triple H rode a freaking tank into WCW.
It was never personal.
It's business, right?
Cody had always had constant contact with Vince and others in WWE throughout that 6 years, and the contact was always there. And yeah, this was always just for entertainment value to get us riled up. Basically,
a lot of people trying to rewrite the narrative of what Cody did in All Elite Wrestling in the last 72 hours are looking real bug-eyed right now. Some screens.
I think I was scrolling through social media. I think there's equally on Instagram as on Twitter. And I'm looking at the pictures from WrestleMania, fans that attended WrestleMania that were throwing up the middle finger to Cody Rhodes.
But you
throwing up the middle finger. Like you made a selfie. You made a selfie with the WrestleMania entrance and you're middle fingering Cody Rhodes on the. It's like, come on.
But you paid to go to WrestleMania. You paid to take that photo, but you're going to give him the finger? What are we going through?
Our good pal, Phil Lindsay, who's been on some trivia.
Love Phil. Phil's a great Chicago guy. Love Phil.
Phil from the Grapsity podcast and Fightful and such. And he about an hour ago he posted a great tweet that said, "People are really killing me, acting like they loved Cody a year ago. Like I don't remember their bad takes."
Get him, Phil.
So it works the other way too, fellas.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to this. Tony Khan going to get aggressive with Rampage. What is this all about, gentlemen?
Well, Khan, as he always does, shows up on Busted Open Radio, and I don't know what he really means by this, but he says that Impact Rampage this Friday is going to go back to its ruthless roots. Now, he says it's going to be a stacked card, which is, I believe, going to be the case. I can't remember who all's on it off the top of my head. But I don't really know what he means by ruthless roots, so to speak, and unless he's talking about really making it an important show, much like when CM Punk debuted on that episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I don't know what he's really getting at on that. So
Khan appeared obviously Busted Open, as you mentioned. Mentioned the ruthless roots. Last week, AEW Rampage had competition in the form of Ring of Honor Supercard, which was on at the same time, and the WWE Hall of Fame. Okay, so the show drew less than half. It drew less than 500,000.
It drew more than the previous week, though.
It drew more than the previous week. Maybe that's a general sense of just like people just want to watch wrestling in general, right? And it was on after SmackDown. There's some people that aren't going to watch something, or they're just AEW loyalists, right?
Friday at 10 is never going to draw. I'll just tell you that right now.
That's my thing. I haven't watched Rampage in 4 weeks.
I rarely watch SmackDown live.
You watch it like Saturday or something. Like that?
I usually watch it Saturday.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that do that. Yeah,
I try to watch it. I get so busy on Saturdays doing other stuff that I forget that my DVR recorded Rampage, and I haven't watched Rampage in like 3 or 4 weeks now, just because this is a time slot. It's a 1-hour show, so for me, there's a lot of things that turn me off from my Rampage. The time slot never works, and I always forget about it.
Okay, so it's just a matter of circumstance, right? A matter of where they lay it up in the week. It's also worth noting the show is taped. It's a taped show, and you really condition your fans to make Dynamite an appointment show. That I gotta watch Dynamite, I gotta see what's happening live, right? And they've really made a lot out of this show. That's a compliment, by the way. That isn't like but when you set a certain standard and then something else just feels like less than, and I don't think there's been a lot of episodes like Rampage that feel less than, but plenty of them do. Enough of them do, to the point where it's like, all right, I can skip it. Especially in a week like WrestleMania, especially in a week like WrestleMania where you're going up against the go-home SmackDown before WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame. I mean, if you're an AEW fan, you're like, I'll take Rampage off this week and watch the Hall of Fame. Would anyone be? Come on, it's The Undertaker going in. It's not that big of a deal. It's also worth noting, people say, they beat NXT. NXT on a Tuesday did 175,000 more people than Rampage did last week on a Friday. So now we're talking some different numbers here. It's only an hour, right? But what else are you up against on a Friday? You're not up against 2 hours, 2 hours. It's 2 hours. It's a completely different thing. But you're not up against just wrestling. You're up against sports. You're up against other things. You know, what's it going to be like in the summer when people start to go out and have different social schedules? You know, that even affects SmackDown and other shows. So it's a whole other thing. I just think Friday nights at 10 p.m. in the East is a bad slot to be.
It's tough.
Bad slot.
Even if I'm home, I watch SmackDown and Raw live or SmackDown and Rampage live half the time. I was like, half the time I don't. But Dynamite stacked tonight. Holy crap! Joe is going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, taking on Max Caster. Can't wait to see that rap. Can't wait to see what Max has to say about Joe tonight.
Listen.
A match that was supposed to main event a pay-per-view last year. Christian Cage, Adam Cole, FTR and the Bucks, and then you got Butcher Blade against the Hardys. So and that's a tables match, by the way.
Do you think they're giving away too many of these Hardy matches on television right away?
No.
You don't think so?
Not when you only have 4 pay-per-views a year.
True. It's just one of those things where I'm like, can you build up to that? Like we just went into that right away. I don't know. It's like when Punk came out and they had him on TV like all the time, like all the time. And I'm almost like, protect something, like it's a good problem. I'm excited to see it. Right. I'm like, I like the crazy stuff they've been having Jeff do is very, very fun and exciting. I got to do a media scrum with Jeff during WrestleMania week, and he kind of talks about all of that. But I'm looking forward to it, but it's fun. XFL, this is the new pro football league that WWE's Vince McMahon and his outside venture Alpha Entertainment tried to launch before the pandemic, and then the controlling interest was purchased by The Rock, his former wife Danny Garcia. She's part of his production company, and a hedge fund have taken over control of it. WWE's still involved in it, at least through Vince McMahon. Rock unveils the new XFL logo and vision. This will launch in 2023. They do have some competition from another league here, and they're getting away from the red and blue here for a simplified black on white look here. We have teams. Do we have any idea of where the teams are going to be, Jeremy? I know you're big on the pro sports here. Are they keeping mostly the same teams?
I don't know. You think they would with it being with it being in place, but then again, that was 4 years ago. True. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what.
I just hope Florida gets a team. I hope Florida gets somewhere, at least Tampa or Orlando. In the old XFL, Orlando had one. The last one, Tampa had one. I just hope Florida gets one.
Was that Orlando where they did the very first game with The Rock coming out?
I think so.
The first one. Yeah, that was the Orlando Rampage, I think it was called back then.
Were you there?
Yeah. Nah, I was living in Miami back then.
Oh, but the last iteration of the XFL was good. It was a better product than the one they tried.
Yes, it was.
With Vince, or not with Vince, but before earlier, because that was like a spectacle for the first week, and then you just got tired of it going forward. This last try was good. A good brand of football. So hopefully,
and it doesn't have to be better than the NFL. It just has to be. It has to be spring summer football. That's what it has to be. Yeah. And obviously, The Rock being behind it is significant.
One quick little tidbit I saw come across just before we went live. My dream might come true at Survivor Series.
What's that? What's your dream, baby?
Pat McAfee is angling for a match with Corey Graves.
Ooh.
So I wonder if maybe Team Pat, Team Corey.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. And if this is a way to get Corey in the ring and have him do,
or I think I might be wrong. I might have it backwards. I think Graves might have said that. I think Graves said he wanted to face McAfee.
Commentator versus commentator, and just have their team's perspective.
That'd be a perfect setup.
Where'd you get that news? Where
well, it was said by either McAfee or Graves themselves. So it was a quote from them. And then we got one more piece of news we're going to cover.
What do we got here?
No, the one we're going to cover from Fightful.
I can't see the back end of this. I know this is me pulling down.
Yes, we do. We do have one more, and I totally forgot about this. This is actually kind of important. It's very important because it involves Gunta.
So you wonder what the hell happened last night with Fabian Eichner, and are they going to break them up? Well, Fightful Select dropped an article literally just an hour or two ago regarding Gunther and Marcel Bartel. Apparently, Fightful has learned that there's been internal discussions of bringing Imperium to the main roster without Eichner. This would explain why there was the angle of Eichner walking out last night. Fightful was informed that from the point Gunther made the move over to the United States, the plan has always been to bring him to Raw or SmackDown. So again, I don't know why they couldn't just keep the trio together, unless they're not going to push Gunther as a singles guy to start, and they're going to go Gunther and Bartel as a tag team. But I don't know. I think they've screwed with Imperium so much that their mystique is starting to wear off. So.
Well, I mean, they held those titles pretty strongly. The tag titles that I thought they held confidently. When the bell rang, this team delivered. Gunther, I thought whenever he made his way over to NXT in the United States, a lot of people pegged him, Walter, however you want to do it, pegged him to be the next NXT champion because he was such a big part of what NXT UK did in their first wave. They've settled down. You can't get them in front of real fans. That's a big star. Fans in the States want to see him. Bring him over. Smart move. And they did it during the pandemic when they needed a real kick in the ass. I think he's been a kick in the ass. He had one of the best WWE matches last year against Dragunov. And that was built on NXT UK television and brought over here to the States, by the way. So I think, though, if he's so exciting and has this larger-than-life quality, Jose, you and I were at the press junket on Friday, and we didn't get to get an interview with him. What was the one interview I wanted that we didn't get? It was... I wanted to talk to this guy because he has this quality about him in terms of the way he walks, the way he carries himself. Like, all of those things are larger than life, and you can't create those. You can't it's in a bottle. It's already there. Yep. And when you have magic, some people say, oh, they messed around with it by changing his name. I really don't think it'll matter if this guy gets going.
Because
I think the whole name thing will not matter at all. It didn't matter to Bryan Danielson when they changed his name. The performer, and the name isn't too far off. It's not like they gave him a goofy gimmick. They just gave him a name change because of copyright and trademark stuff. I can tell you that from talking to people. It's just harder to get the name Walter. So that's the point of it. Now, why split up Fabian Aichner? I agree with you, Jeremy. I don't get it. If you're going to give this guy a goon squad and make them this kind of like elitist group that goes out and smashes people, that'd be pretty cool. But I do think the issue is you kind of already have a group like that in Roman Reigns. You know, in terms of tone.
Then you got a good challenger for that group.
True, but are they baby faces? Are you going to get behind? Are you going to get behind a Gunther or Walter right away?
People love Walter. But also people love Roman. So even though he's a heel, he's selling the most merchandise. You could turn the bloodline face in a hurry, and it wouldn't be a bad idea.
You can turn all of them baby face right now,
and it would work easily. But
again, but the mid card in WWE needs some new faces too. So I don't think you have to throw them right there in the main event.
Now you got to look at the news from today, and you got to wonder, well, crap, do we make them kiss and make up so we can keep the tag division strong in NXT now that MSK is gone? That's another thing they got to consider now.
Yeah, that'll change since this happened. Do some people stay back because of that just happened?
And do we just bring up Walter or Gunther? I don't know. I don't see Gunther being a tag team guy. It doesn't make any sense. He's a dominant singles competitor.
And also maybe NXT didn't want to lose all three of them at the same time. That's something to be said, like, hey, we don't want to lose all three of these guys. Can we keep one? You never know.
Yeah, but he's not going to be a part of Imperium, though, by himself.
True, but I mean, part of it is losing three guys at once. You're not just filling one slot, you're filling three. So it's like, all right, we got a lot of, what are we going to do here? Do we have people that are ready, that are recruits that aren't ready to be on NXT television yet, that we can pull up and they're ready to go? It's a lot of shuffling at once.
I tell you what, if Roddy is leaving anytime soon, I mean, hell, Aichner would be a hell of a guy in Diamond Mine.
What perfect rollover for him.
There's a lot of spaces for Aichner, but I worry if he's a solo act, he's just gonna get lost in the shuffle in NXT.
Yeah, that's what happened to him in 205 Live. He had a tremendous showing in the Cruiserweight Classic, and then he was featured in a few matches in 205 Live, and then he just kind of fizzled. Right? Nobody cared about him. People cared about him when he was in Imperium, so it's going to be very interesting.
What a better time to prove yourself, though, as a solo act.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When you've already had two.
The guy's super talented.
Oh yeah, very. I mean, I've been a fan of his ever since the Cruiserweight Classic. So
definitely, and a lot of those guys from Cruiserweight Classic aren't around anymore. 205 Live isn't around anymore. So you got to adapt to the times you're in. So I guess that's kind of what it is, and that's part of being in WWE. Is there shuffling of the rosters? They need different roles. All right. Exactly. This producer doesn't think they can produce you. This writer doesn't think they can write for you. You're all right. Shawn Michaels likes you, but are you a Vince McMahon pick? There's a lot of choices with that. So I don't blame them for it, but it's kind of like, let me see it play out first. Is that fair? Like I don't want to bang the gavel on something that hasn't really progressed just yet.
All right, guys. So before we head out, it's time for the highlight of the day.
Highlight of the day.
The highlight of the day. This is something that's going to make everyone laugh after all the things that happened on Monday Night Raw. So when we got the debut of Ezekiel was involved in this little altercation with Kevin Owens, and someone decided to do something wild on TikTok. So
what is this?
Parental advisory is advice.
Ezekiel! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! What's your name? Ezekiel! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh my
Explain
God.
can you explain the original meme to people who don't understand what that is?
all right, so just in case if y'all missed Monday Night Raw, and Ezekiel made his debut, who was formerly Elias.
Yeah.
KO was like, "You're not Ezekiel, you're Elias. I know you're a liar. You're Ezekiel." So anyway, so there was a meme on TikTok that there was a guy yelling at someone from across the street that was named Ezekiel, and there you go.
Two pretty belligerent guys in the middle of the day. And one goes, "Who that for you? I'm Ezekiel. Fuck you. Who are you? And fuck
Ezekiel."
Yeah, so it was like two dogs that took over human beings barking at each other is the best way of describing it. And so this was this is pretty crazy. It was the goofy edit of that is pretty funny. So definitely go check it out on Tiki Talk. I want a shout out to everyone as well who's listening on the podcast side of things. We provide you guys a lot of content, and you are listening to it. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so, give us a 5-star review. It really helps us out wherever you're listening, whatever app you're on, whatever country you're in. Thank you to the fans in India putting us in the top 10 wrestling podcast. Thank you to fans in the United States, Great Britain, Canada, Germany.
Tell them where we're number one.
But this past Sunday and Monday, we are no longer in the number one. We're still in the top 20. But I will say thank you to all of the great lads and ladies in Ireland, all of you in Ireland, all of you up the raw. Thank you so much. I am very grateful to all of you guys in Ireland across all the counties for listening. We went to number one. We were the number one wrestling podcast in Ireland for like probably 45 minutes on Sunday.
Hey, I'll take it. I will take it.
I will take it.
I will be going to Ireland someday. I just don't know when, but yeah, I'll go thank the people once I do.
Yes, you'll drink Guinnesses on our behalf.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't done so, check out all of us on social media. Jose_G_official on the Twitter, on the Instagram. On Twitter, you can follow at JB Huskers as well. Follow me on the Twitter machine at Kev Kellum. I will be live at the Hoagland Center in Springfield, Illinois with the QLZ Comedy Invasion. You can get your tickets at WQLZ.com. The link is up on my Twitter. Thank you guys so much. Sorry for holding you up. Appreciate it. We're getting through it, and you're getting through it with us. Whether or not you want to be angry and yell at things on the internet, just take a deep breath and do what, gentlemen?
You got to take a deep breath. And enjoy. Sorry, my voice just sucks. Enjoy wrestling, guys.
Golly whiz, mister. You got to enjoy wrestling.
Jose's hit puberty, everybody. Yeah!
He's a real boy now.
I'm a real boy.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!